Hi everybody, Neil Winner with Matterhorn Business Development here, and today I have a very special guest with us. This is attorney Jamie Moore Marcario with Thrive Law. Go ahead and introduce yourself for everyone, Jamie.
Yeah, hi there. I'm Jamie Moore Marcario, the founder and managing attorney of Thrive Law. We are a business law boutique that also specializes in employment matters.
Yes, and the reason that I am here is because Jamie and I met about 6 or 7 months ago through a friend of ours who was a banker. And we met because Jamie is very passionate about small business and helping small business. You do a lot of networking. I think you even host networking events here.
Yes, we do.
We're in her beautiful space, by the way, which I love coming here every time.
Thank you for saying that. We love it too. We like working here.
Yeah. I look for a reason just to come and see the place. This is what I want to aspire to have for our office very soon. So we're here because I want to do a little bit of like an Ask an Attorney almost for business law. And what we're going to be talking about really is part 3 of the handling of Yelp, the handling of online reviews. Today, we're not just talking about Yelp. My past 2 videos have been a little bit more of a dig at Yelp and how they hide reviews and kind of mess with small businesses. Today, I want to talk about, from a legal perspective, what you can do to actually combat these things and how you can protect yourself if you are being attacked. And as Jamie and I started talking about, she had all kinds of amazing statistics. And this is something that you really have done a lot of work in.
Yes, we do. We do a lot of work in this area. This is a really emerging area of the law because it's the wild, wild west for all intents and purposes. So we're really breaking ground and making new law as we go because there are some federal decisions that came out of the United States Supreme Court that make this difficult to get online reviews removed, but we're learning our way around it and how to actually get bad reviews or fake reviews legally removed permanently. So
yeah, it's quite an interesting little thing. And you and I had a little conversation out there with some interesting stuff. So I think where I'd like to start off is kind of like what you were talking about with me earlier about the economical impact of reviews.
Yeah, so the economic impact of reviews is huge. As you know, online reviews are the standard now. And usually when someone goes and posts an online review, they're going to post a bad one before they post a good one. So one of the things to know is Amazon, for example, which is heavily review driven, right?
Pretty much
very
entirely.
review driven, does $107 billion a year. Yelp, which is just about reviews. There's nothing, there's nothing else going on there, right? Allegedly. But it's $550 million a year business on reviews. Wow. And there is a study out of Harvard that shows that a 1-star increase in your Yelp review as a small business will increase your revenues by 5 to 9%. That's pretty significant depending on where you are in your life cycle.
That's very significant for,
could be big.
Especially a small business owner.
Yes.
The small business owner, the mom and pop shops.
Right.
That's a huge, I mean, that's the difference between your kids going to college and
there's no study showing what happens in the reverse that I have seen yet, but you can imagine what happens if it's in the reverse. So you lose a star and then what happens? You're losing revenue. Clearly, you are.
And I think that's what drives me crazy about the Yelp model where they hide the reviews.
Right.
And then it ends up changing the star rating for a person.
Right.
You know, in my first review that I did, my first video, I talked about my hair salon where she's only showing 12 stars, but in reality, or 12 reviews, but there's 24 non-recommended. So it looks like, oh, it's only 4.5 stars with 12 reviews. That doesn't seem very good. But when you do the math, it's actually higher and it's got 36 reviews. Right. That could influence somebody going to that salon
there
or not
going there.
And that affects the small business owner much bigger than, say, Amazon or something like that.
That's right. But one thing to consider is that there is another study that shows that, this is so bizarre, 57% of people will be suspicious of a site that has nothing but good reviews. So the occasional review makes it seem more valid and relevant.
Welcome to America, where 4.9 stars is worth more than 5.
Yes, exactly. Like if you have 4.9 stars, we get that. 5 stars, we think, oh, you faked all of your reviews, right? You just fake positived yourself or something.
Doesn't make any sense. Okay.
Yes. So it's very funny. So I want to talk a little bit about review fraud, which is where we start to get involved. So there's something called astroturfing, which is in violation of a Federal Trade Commission regulation, which says that if you are going to post a review and you are being paid for that review, you need to disclose that you're being paid for the review. So if someone doesn't disclose that they're being paid for the review, and they are, whether it's good or bad, they are they're engaged in something called astroturfing. That's what it's called. When you're being paid for a review and you make it look like it's genuine or unbiased,
right,
then suddenly you're in the arena of fraud. This is fraud.
Wow.
This is review fraud. Another type of review fraud is when there are no studies about this either, but it is absolutely on the rise because we deal with it all the time, where competitors are actually posting fake reviews about their competitors.
Yes.
And that is, one, not cool, and two, fraud.
Yes. I've seen this before on Amazon. I've seen reviews where it was like, oh, this is way better than this product. And it's like the name, like this t-shirt company is way better than Joe's t-shirt company. And it's always like, why would you name specifically Joe's t-shirt company?
Those are suspect.
Those are suspect.
If you're reading, if you're a consumer and you're out there reading reviews, be suspect of those types of reviews.
Okay.
And if you're the small business owner or the business owner that's being subject to that, that's a time where you want to report that to the
but you said that's a gray area still?
Yeah, it's a little bit gray. It's a little bit gray. I will say that Yelp last year removed 7% of its reviews for violations of terms of service. So reporting the violation of the terms of service is important. I'm going to talk, before I get into all of that, so
sure.
I do want to say every single host site has terms of service. Terms of service are what you're allowed to post and what you're not allowed to post. And they vary from site to site, but all of them have to be in line with the Federal Trade Commission guidelines.
Okay.
Right?
So there's certain guidelines that have to be met.
There's certain federal guidelines that have to be met.
And then each one has its own little...
Each one has its own nuances.
Okay.
So those terms of service are always available on the site, but they're kind of hidden. So you want to look for them. And if you see a site, if you get a post that isn't great, or it's just totally inflammatory, or it's false, that's the time where you want to do some certain things. But first, let's talk about what not to do.
Yes, this is very important because you were mentioning to me, before you can do any sort of certain actions to get them taken down, if you mess up as the business owner and slip in certain areas, no matter what you do, that won't come down. So what is those nots? Okay,
so the very first thing not to do is don't freak out and leave a crazy response. I've seen this. So you have a crazy post from maybe it's a disgruntled employee, maybe it's a disgruntled customer, and they engage in hyperbole. They exaggerate completely whatever happened, all caps. Yeah. They're online yelling, right? You don't want to engage in the same behavior in response. Okay. So don't engage in inflammatory conduct in response.
Okay.
Do not get into a flame war. Do you want to explain what a flame war is?
That would be like adding fuel to it all, where you start making them wrong, yelling at them back. You're kind of doing the same thing back and forth.
And then it gets into a back and forth.
Yes.
You do not want to do that online. It looks... the crazy reviewer would look crazy if you just left them alone, but if you engage in crazy and then it goes back and forth,
then I start looking at it and I go, look at this crazy person. Yeah. And then I go, look at this crazy owner who's yelling at this person. Right. I'm not going to go to
You're not going.
No.
Right. So just don't engage in that. And then don't track down the reviewer online on their social media and bash them on their social media. Don't do the same thing, because now you've engaged in defamation, what's called defamation. It could be defamation of a person. If they're a business and you track down their business and trash their business, you're engaging in something called defamation per se, which means that you're trashing someone's professional reputation online, which is what they're doing to you. You don't want to do the same thing.
So the old two wrongs don't make a right.
Two wrongs don't make a right.
Definitely applies when it comes to legalese.
Definitely applies. And then the big thing to know about this is if you have responded in some way, and then you seek to get the review removed from, say, Google or Yelp is going to look at your response, and depending on what it is, they're going to think that you validated what
so the that's
post
interesting.
was.
So if I get a super crazy review,
right,
that I'm pretty sure ranting, raving, name calling, the whole thing, I shouldn't respond at all.
Well,
if I'm going to ask for
back.
it to be removed.
I take that. So
okay. Just so I can clarify. Yeah.
I would, if you're going to seek to have it removed, seek to have it removed before
answering.
You respond.
Okay.
So contact the terms. There's a terms of service link, and it will tell you how to flag or contact the legal department of that host site. And I would do that first. And then in your response, if you're going to respond with calm and clarity and say, our site is sometimes subject to inflammatory or false reviews. This is a review which we have sought to have removed based on whatever the host site's violation of the host site's terms of service. And then say something fabulous about your business.
There you go.
Say what you do. That's great. That sort of contradicts what was said. But don't engage in directly responding to whatever
Don't really acknowledge anything that's written. Because what I've done in the past is I've told people, hey, you get a crazy review like that, just sort of answer but no answer with something like, hey, listen, we're really sorry you didn't meet up your standards. We hope we can fix this sometime for you in the future.
That validates what they did.
That validates what they said, whether it was right, wrong.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah.
I would not have thought that. I figured
so I just
wanted the person who's reading it to go, oh, well, this owner sounds like a pretty reasonable person.
I would
something like that.
Just be generic.
Just be super
generic.
Okay.
So things you can do.
Okay, so what can we do? Yeah.
Things you can do. You can reach out and contact the reviewer offline.
Okay.
And maybe, let's say there was some validity. Okay. They've engaged in hyperbole, so it's a little crazy, but there's some validity to what they said. So, for example, let's say there's a review that's posted and it talks about having a bad experience with a badly cooked steak or an incorrectly cooked steak. So they ask for it medium rare, it comes out medium. They send it back. Again, it goes back 3 times.
And this person's very particular about it.
They've been very detailed. And what you'd want to do is reach out to that person offline and offer to have them come in for a free meal and make sure that it's right and be perfect. Make sure that they have a perfect experience when they come in. That's okay to do. That is totally fine. And then ask them to either remove the negative review or modify it.
Okay.
And say, hey, the owner reached out to me and made it right. That looks like I want to go there.
Yeah.
Because this is somebody that makes things right when they've done something wrong. And they admit it and they own it. That's who we want to, who do you want to do business with? Everyone makes mistakes. Everyone. All small businesses make mistakes. Course. What we want to do is see that somebody's taking responsibility.
Yes. The customer service experience is the number one thing about your business that separates you from any other thing.
That's right.
And if I know that you made a mistake, which happens, but you take responsibility for it, I'm okay with doing business with somebody who's willing to, as long as it's not every meal,
Yes. Well,
then
every
we got a
meal
problem.
you go out of business. So we don't want that. Restaurant owners, beware. Make good food.
Get a bad review. It's okay to reach out to them, make it right, and then ask them to change the review or remove it. Or remove it
post
entirely.
A good one, whatever. That is totally fine. Offer something positive in return.
Perfect.
And whether or not they modify the review, this is just a smart thing to do.
Correct.
Right?
Yeah.
One of the things that you can also do if that doesn't work is to flag or go engage in self-help by flagging or contacting the host site and saying that the review is in violation of the terms of service. We already talked about that a little bit, but make sure that you say in your response to the host site and your request that the post is in violation of the terms of service. Cite which term it's in violation of. So you need to read them.
Well, let's go back to the meat example really quick.
Okay,
if I come out and I say, listen, I asked for a medium, it came out well done. I sent it back. They sent me another one. It was rare. I sent it back. And I'm like, just stating facts. You
got nothing.
You got nothing, right?
You got nothing.
What would the review have to state for you to? Because you can't just flag every 1-star review you get as being inflammatory.
No, absolutely not. That's not one that I would flag. That's one where I would respond
and make it right
intelligently and make it right.
So it's when it goes the other way. ranting and raving and
ranting
name
and
calling.
raving. Even if there's something valid in there, but there's ranting and raving and name calling, we're out of bounds, right?
Okay.
So, for example, ranting and raving, name calling. I'm going to give a couple of examples of bad reviews. Okay, that would be flaggable.
You've seen a couple of these.
Yes, I've seen a few. So let's say you say, I go to a restaurant. Again, restaurants are just they're fodder
they're easy
because
pickings.
they're easy pickings.
Restaurants, car dealerships.
Yeah, doctors, lawyers. Hello. We get this all the time.
Yes.
So you see a review and it says the fat waitress was totally rude. Her name was Susan. She was a complete bi. You know what?
Mm-hmm.
And that's going to be something I can flag because we named the employee, we called her fat, and that's offensive to a lot of people.
Yes.
Right? There are a lot of people who are not the perfect weight that will find that offensive, and we've engaged in name calling and using foul language. That's going to get removed, and you can do that on your own. You can reach out and do that without legal recourse. However, here's something that happens. We have people who go and they're so angry that they start reposting their same post over and over again. Okay? So it gets taken down, and then guess what? It reappears. It's not that it wasn't removed. It's that the person is paying attention, which is double crazy.
Yeah.
But yes, double crazy. But the review keeps coming up again. You keep reporting it, and then eventually it may stay there because the host site may give up and say, we're done.
They're like, this is the 8th time we've removed this stupid thing.
Yeah, we're not doing it again.
And they just give up.
Right, they just give up.
Okay.
Then you want to engage an attorney to write a cease and desist letter to the poster.
So this is where you get hired.
This is where I get
chain
hired.
of events.
Yeah,
Okay.
This is where, and if you have questions about this before this point, certainly give an attorney a call, right? Yes. That specializes in this kind of thing. So not every attorney knows their way around these matters. So look for somebody who understands business technology law, which is the arena we're playing in here. So look for somebody like that. And, they can write a cease and desist letter to the poster. They can contact the legal department of the host site and let them know that they've sent a cease and desist letter and see if they can get it taken down permanently again. In some cases where the poster keeps posting.
Yeah.
So for example, I have a case where the poster keeps reposting. It's on Google, and we're going to have to bring a defamation per se and tortious interference action because Google has told us that the only way that they will permanently remove it is if we can show that there's a legal action pending.
So you're going to file it.
Yep, we're going to file it, and then they're going to remove it. They
it.
have to remove it at that point.
Okay.
And at least until the legal matter is resolved.
In a situation like what you were just talking about there, now this person's had it taken down multiple times. Now they're having to hire you as an attorney. Is it worth it to go after this person who keeps putting this defamation
and that's the thing
out
that
there?
we would help you decide.
Okay.
Like if it's
a case
really
by case.
it's a case by case situation.
Okay.
If it's really affecting you and it's really negative and it's plausible.
Yeah.
So for example, like if in the case where we're calling somebody names that are with foul language and someone's clearly crazy, that's not a case where I would advise that you do anything because most normal people are going to look at the crazy review and go, wow, crazy.
Yes.
Crazy person.
Crazy.
And if the response was, hey, sometimes people engage in inflammatory reviews, we've reported this and asked to have it removed, here's the great stuff about our company, and you've given a nice generic response, people are going to look at the business as normal and the poster as crazy and give it the credence that it deserves. Now, are some people going to look at it and say, hey, that's crazy, and or not crazy?
Yeah.
And I'm not going there because of the crazy review? Yes, but those people are generally crazy and you don't want them as your client anyway.
It acts as a filter.
Right, it's a filter.
If you've got one of those and you've got 15 normal reviews and you've got a normal person and somebody says, I'm not going to go there because this crazy review, they probably did you a favor.
Absolutely. Totally did you a favor.
Yeah.
One other thing I want to talk about is the difference between just a bad review or a fake review and then actual internet crime where where the level of review rises to the level of being a crime. So let's say somebody has never purchased anything from you before. They contacted you at your business and they never bought anything from you, they never engaged your services, and then they post a bad review about your services or your goods.
Okay.
And then they or a third party who's maybe related to them in somehow, which we would have to dig a little to find out, they contact you and offer you money to remove the bad review. Like, I'll take it down. I'll get it taken down.
So this person pretty much just leaves a bad review.
Right.
To then try and get paid.
Money.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's extortion.
Or let's say somebody actually is a client of yours, leaves a negative review, and then immediately contacts you and says, give me my money back or give me money and I'll take it down. That's extortion. So we've engaged, now we're at the level of a crime, and this is the time where you contact a lawyer, you file a police report, okay? Because this is a crime at this point. So you want to file a police report with the Economic Crimes Division of wherever you live. So, and I would also report this to the Federal Trade Commission. I want to share, can we share this little guy?
We can.
I don't know, can you get a close up on that?
And we will also add it to the description and the link.
The Federal Trade Commission has an Internet Crime Complaint Center, and this is the internet address where you can report complaints. And the hotline number is 1-877-382-4357. So again,
if I feel like that there is a crime that needs to be reported, I can contact them.
Yeah.
And I would also contact an attorney.
Yeah, contact an attorney.
Right? Okay.
Because an attorney will be able to help you maneuver that process.
Okay.
So.
Okay.
I think that's everything I have. And do you have any questions for me? That was a lot.
That was a lot of really good information there. All right. Well, I do have two other questions for you.
Okay.
First off, the one thing I want to go over, because I do a lot of work in the medical area, and I think this is something that is so missed, and you do a lot in the law area, and you know that this happens, but a patient or a client will go into an area and leave a bad review, and then it's answered with confidential information or violates HIPAA laws or hey, well, we diagnosed you with X, Y, and Z and you didn't want it. Well, that just violates so many HIPAA laws right there. Exactly.
You're exactly right. I mean, and
I don't feel like people understand that. I mean, they're kind of mad, and so they want to be right and let everybody know that this patient did not want to do what we told them to do. But you have your hands tied behind your back in that case.
You do. So if you are in a profession that is bound by certain confidentiality rules that are over and above what the general public is bound by, so for example, you're a physician and you are bound by HIPAA guidelines, you may not even acknowledge that this person is a patient. Same thing for attorneys. You may not even acknowledge that this is a client. You may not get into details of that person's diagnosis if you're a physician. You may not get into details of that person's case if you are an attorney and you're responding. So these are special situations where you really probably want to contact an attorney to assist you. Even if you're an attorney, you want an attorney who understands this stuff and can really help you maneuver behind the scenes on how to handle it. And in the case of attorneys, it's probably a good idea to call the bar of your state. So the Florida bar, we're in Florida, so it would be the Florida bar, but whatever state you're in, to ask for an ethics opinion on what the right thing to do is in this circumstance.
Okay. So in certain cases, it's best to, let's say, for instance, it's a chiropractic patient.
Okay.
They say, hey, I went in, I had back pain, this didn't help me.
Right.
It's very hard to say, well, you didn't do enough treatments, or you can't say that.
These are things you don't want to say.
What is the
right approach? This is a
what is a basic
where
thing?
you really want to go behind the scenes and talk to that person directly.
Okay.
That's fine. You're well within your rights to talk directly to that person.
Should we post anything on there like, I'm going to get in touch with you and talk to you about your concerns? Can we say anything like that?
This is where I would contact an attorney first and see what the ethics rules of your particular profession say.
Because I'm sure it's different from profession to profession and state to state.
Different from profession and state to state.
Okay.
And so I'm not going to give a blanket statement about that. I'm going to say we need to contact the relevant organization.
But just know that you need to be careful about what you say because there's HIPAA guidelines that you can... And
violate or attorney-client privilege, right? If you're an attorney,
track these down online. You could. There's so many offices. I see it every day. It's like
there are, and it's really easy to get provoked and get angry and feel violated yourself, which is fair, totally fair in very many cases. But remember that passion fights, but reason wins.
Yes. Yes.
So, you know, that's what
And one
we
other
wanna
question
do.
I wanted to ask you, because you handle also employees, and
Yes.
employee law.
Yeah.
Let's say I have a business and an employee goes on my Google page or my Yelp page and leaves a 1-star review as a
Right.
disgruntled employee. That's obviously not the place that an employee would handle something like this.
That's
Is
right.
there a legal protection for the business owner?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, there is. So we're going to handle this the same way we would a client review. So, but when it's an employee and they're a disgruntled employee that, let's say you just fired them and then they go on and trash you online. That's a thing where you would go to the terms of service. That would be in violation of the terms of service. You can handle it yourself by contacting the host site. Or if that doesn't work, this is where you contact the attorney,
Okay.
get a cease and desist letter, you go the same route, and there are different routes. And this may be a case where the employee is trying to extort you,
Yes.
right? So this is
I worked here. I saw behind the scenes. I won't talk if you give me $1,000, whatever.
Right. That's absolutely right.
That's
I won't.
extortion.
I'll take it down if
I'll
you
take
give me
it down if you
$1,000.
give me money. Okay, that's
That's
another
right.
extortion thing.
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
got it.
Yeah.
Okay, good. Well, I think that pretty much sums it up. I
Okay.
actually feel like there was a lot of information we just
Yeah.
covered here. I hope you guys at home really enjoyed it. If you have business law needs, please contact Jamie. I'm saying that
Thrive Law.
because
Hello.
I've been working with her. She's got great advice. She's helped me with a couple of things in the past with giving me advice on what to do and what not to do when I was like, I don't know if I should do anything at all here or there. She's got a wealth of knowledge, which is why I wanted to include her in this. And what's your web address? Or
It's www.thrivelaw.com, thrivelaw.com, or you can just call us at 727-300-1990. Our delightful client relations director, Alexis, will answer the phone and she can schedule time for us to talk.
Alexis is awesome. She makes it
She's
very
awesome.
easy to get in touch with Jamie. She was very beneficial in helping us get here today with my schedule and your schedule. I'm flying all over the place. We
Yeah.
made it work. So I want to thank you very much
Yes.
again for being here and giving
Yes,
this awesome
thank you.
advice. I hope everybody out there learned something new. Again, subscribe to the channel if you haven't already for more information like this. If you found something useful out of here, give me a thumbs up and share it with a friend, because I bet you know somebody who has found themselves in this situation. Just per statistics, you know somebody who needs the information that's in this video. Share it with them and get them the help that they need. And we'll see you next time.